there's something to be said for getting out to a fast start and defenses not knowing exactly how to game plan for you. But this kid's an impressive kid. This is a great start for him.
It has been very impressive, and the most impressive thing to me is the no interceptions. I thought that there would, with the high number of touchdowns, there would be at least 2 or 3 interceptions because he is going to take some chances that other guys may not take. And you saw it with the play where he ran around and then threw it downfield. And look, that's working really well now, but it's not typically high percentage football. So we'll have to see how this goes as we continue to move on. I know that Nick was home and high-fiving everybody he knew in his Kansas City pajamas and the whole day. But if you look back at what happened last year, the first 5 games, they were 5-0. 2 out of those 5 games, they scored 42 points. The offense was high-powered. It wasn't this high-powered, or it didn't have quite this success rate, but there was a substantial number of explosive plays and points last year. After that 5 games, things went a little bit differently. The other thing this year is Kareem Hunt down significantly. He's at 3.2 yards a carry. Last year he was at 4.9 yards a carry. Got to just slow down a little bit before we put Patrick in the Hall of Fame.
But that's a straw man. No one's putting him in the Hall of Fame, Coach. But if you're going to say last year they had this start, they had this. Oh, in Alex Smith's career with the Kansas City Chiefs, games where the Chiefs allowed 24 or more points, they were 1-11. They're now 4-0 if you include Week 17 of last year with Pat Mahomes in games where they allow 24 or more points. If we're going to talk about history, we can talk about the fact that there's 3 teams in NFL history that have scored 38 or more in each of the first 3 weeks. The 67 Baltimore Colts, the 07 undefeated Pats, and this year's Kansas City Chiefs. It isn't, we could set Pat Mahomes and what his trajectory after this season is aside. In the here and now, the Chiefs have an offense very similar to the 2016 Atlanta Falcons, which is so deadly because you don't know where they're going with the football. You mentioned on the broadcast with the Falcons yesterday, see, that they had NFL record 13 touchdown passes to different guys in 2016. The Chiefs are at 9 already through 3 games. On that first drive, 6 different guys touched the football. So if you add to it a very precise, strong-armed quarterback with the best, in my opinion, weapons in football, I don't see a reason to believe that this offense isn't sustainable at a high level. Not 40 points a game sustainable, but 30-plus points a game.
The first thing is, we've never seen this guy do it. So talking about what he can do into the future, just be careful. Like, we've seen this kind of movie before. Do they have great personnel? Yes, they do. Do they have one of the best play callers and managers of offenses in pro football history in Andy Reid? Yes. But if you want to talk about some NFL numbers, what I believe is going to hurt them is that defense. In the first 2 games, over 1,000 yards offense against the Chiefs' defense. Almost 400 in this game with Jimmy G being out of the game. So that part right there, I know we can predict that. I don't think they're going to get their defense fixed. As far as what their offense is going to do, what he's been able to benefit from is because they have such strong personnel, and they have the second best tight end in the league in Kelsey. They have a combination of wide receivers and skilled guys that I believe is the best. But we don't know. What is Pat Mahomes going to do when he faces adversity? What is he going to face when we get halfway through the season? Maybe he's not as mobile because the wear and tear of every quarterback, and this is his first time around the league as a starter. All those things we don't know. But we do know every quarterback that's got off to a fast start like this, there's a correction coming to him. Can they be successful because of Andy Reid, because of their weapons? Yes, but we're still in the first month of the season. I'm not going to get too overblown about it because I've seen this type of action before. I don't like to get ahead of stuff. Like, so what if someone predicts, hey, man, this guy's going to be the next whatever great quarterback? I'm just going to be slow to the party because I've seen these type of parties get off to a start. Everyone's drinking. Next thing you know, they cut off the music, shut it down. It's time to go home. So that's what I have to go on. It's very, very exciting. I'm concerned about their defense. I'm concerned about if teams get into ball control and what's he do when he faces adversity? Because we've seen the other greats, they do respond. It's something we say. I I can't say that he is going to respond well, but I'm not going to say that he's not going to respond in a negative way either, Coach.
And the other thing is we've seen guys explode onto the scene. We saw Deshaun Watson explode onto the scene. You see Jimmy Garoppolo, he wins his first 5 games. You see these guys, and then suddenly this is how it's going to be over the long term, and it's hard to say that. The other part of this is Kansas City's track record at the start of the season has historically been very good and explosive offensively. They scored 42 points in 2 out of their first 5 games last year. So it's hard to say this is the only reason that it's happening. I love the fact that he hasn't thrown an interception. I thought that we'd get 1 or 2 of those. And Chris makes a great point. When the games are tight, when things start to constrict, will he be able to perform that same level? And we really have not seen that to this point.
No, you haven't seen it because they're up 49-6 after the first quarter of the first 3 games combined. Like, you haven't seen it because they've been so potent in the first quarter. But I really feel like you guys are arguing against a point I haven't made. Who's putting him in the Hall of Fame? Who is saying that this is going to continue? If it continues, he would have 70 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. No one is saying it is going to continue. The question is, and much like with Deshaun Watson, when the regression hits, how much will it hit? Of course, it's not going to be 4 touchdowns a game, no picks, and the Chiefs are blowing everyone out. We all know that. But my frustration has nothing to do with the fact that I'm from Kansas City. If these first 3
to do with that?
If these first 3 games are not enough to make you say, wow, this might be a very special player, then what you're saying is there is no 3 games that could ever tell you that. Because it's the best 3 games to start a career, essentially a season, any quarterback's ever had.
Yeah, Nick, it's our responsibility, all right? I've been associated with the league almost 4 decades. I've seen people be successful. What's the normal way to predict future? It's what happened in the past. I don't like to get ahead of it. I don't have to do that. I'm not some expert to think, oh man, I can see how this is going to end. No, they're off to a good start. He's got good arm talent. Will he start making mistakes? Will he do the things that young quarterbacks do? Every year
of course he will. Of course. And no,
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience. You act as if I'm trying to prove a point to you. It's got nothing to do with you. People should look at it with the perspective of this is a small sample size. Regardless of how you look at it, that's how I'm going to look at it, and that's how I'm going to explain it to football fans. This is still a very, very young quarterback. How does he respond to adversity? How does he respond when the games are tighter? In 1998, even with Randall Cunningham as a veteran quarterback, people question, well, what would they do when it gets tight? Well, what about when the defense goes bad? So we've been doing this for years, and we're going to continue to do it. Patty Mahomes, whoever the next great one is, because that's our responsibility as people that have saw the game and seen people struggle at the position that is the hardest in all of sports.
And just to answer your question, there is no 3 games that is definitive enough. We saw Nick Foles played a really good set of 3 games, and you, with your mathematical background, the sample size is way too small to say that this is anything that you could project out at this point.
But last year when the Chiefs were playing really well, you said, I sat right next to you and you said, yeah, but wait till January comes. And you're not saying this year. And there's a different level of optimism for this team.
There's an optimism about what I think. I think they have a franchise quarterback for the first time in 30 years in the team.
Yes, that's great news.
I totally agree about the defense. You haven't heard me sit here say the Chiefs are going to make the Super Bowl because everything you're saying about the defense is accurate.
Right.
But I think they have a franchise quarterback for the first time since Lynn Dawson, and that's notable for this franchise.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.